Indeed, the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats each pointed out that what is most controversial about this energy bill is what is not in it. They used the miscellaneous section of the bill in the other place to try and generate debate about such important provisions as feed-in tariffs, the smart metering, prepayment meters, electronic electricity devices, social tariffs and the role of Ofgem. And I've no doubt that the government is going to hear forceful arguments from all sides of the House on these important omissions, both today and in committee. 10 years dithering over energy, consultation after consultation, and now there is, as the Minister says, no time left to waste. The Minister himself has admitted that the UK faces a looming energy gap. Approximately 30% of the UK's existing capacity will shut over the next 20 years. All of our nuclear power stations, except for Sizewell B, are scheduled for closure, and many older coal-fired power stations will be forced to close under EU law, and this will leave a significant capacity gap. My Lords, the United Kingdom used to be a net exporter of oil and gas, but by 2004, the United Kingdom became a net importer of gas, and last year became a net importer of oil. UK gas production peaked in 2000 at 108 billion cubic meters and has since declined by about 1% every year. From 2008, a rapid decline in production is forecast. The government has estimated that imports could be meeting 90% of gas demand by 2020 and has admitted that the UK's reserves of gas have declined faster than they expected. How vulnerable this makes our country, our industries, our homes, and our economy. Currently, the UK imports only 7% of its overall gas requirement, but this is expected to rise, as he has said, to 40% by 2010 and 90% by 2020. More widely, the European Union currently imports 52% of its gas, a proportion that is steadily growing. The European Union is already the world's leading importer of such resources, and the government estimates that by 2020 we may be reliant on overseas resources for 80% of our energy needs. This, my Lords, is affecting everyone. Companies and consumers alike faced a gas and electricity price shock in the winter of 2005-2006, as the margin between supply and demand was too tight. And then in February, there was a fire at the UK's largest gas storage facility. By March 2006, a cold snap across Europe and insufficient gas flow through the interconnector led to a gas balancing alert being issued by the national grid. We were suddenly faced with the possibility of gas supply interruptions, unplanned, with nowhere else to turn. Increases in the price of oil on the international market sent prices shooting up. Domestic bills have risen by 35% in real terms in the past 7 years. Bills for medium-sized firms have risen by 50% in 2 years. The Department of Business, Enterprise, Regulatory Reform and Energy set a target to eliminate fuel poverty in vulnerable households, and now the total is actually likely to rise. And despite a target set by Labour to reduce carbon emissions by 20%, emissions are higher now than when Labour came to power. What a mess. The quicker the government takes action, the better. We will, of course, do all we can to hasten this bill along, to improve it where we can. And let me start with some questions to the Noble Lord the Minister for clarification to the House. The energy bill contains a framework for CCS, but what use is it without provision for liabilities? What does the Minister plan to do if the Scottish Parliament blocks plans to build a new nuclear power station in Scotland? Does the government have any plans to change the nuclear safety targets for a new generation of nuclear power stations? According to the Nuclear Installations Inspectorate, the migration of skills have placed a severe strain on its ability to find, recruit, train and retain the number of skilled employees it requires to assess and approve the different types of reactor that are seeking a license. What is the government doing to address this? The government has recently voiced its support for 3 major international agreements which all have higher ambition levels than the targets contained in the UK Climate Change Bill, the G8, the Vienna Climate Talks, and the European Council Spring Summit. Why has the government not put the same level of ambition on our own homegrown bills? And my lords, during debate in the other place, the Minister announced several forthcoming